Hey everybody, Pastor Vern with the daily update for July 21st, 2020. Another day in our current lifestyle, let's say. Today we're going to talk about the book of Judges a little bit. It follows the book of Joshua, and we talked about that yesterday. That's kind of the story of Joshua and the warrior who brings the Hebrew people into the promised land and gets things established there. After that, they had a rough time with God. They had a hard time sticking with God. They would find the earthly delights and things of this world to be to draw them away from God. Now that they were in a place that they were ruling themselves, and so guess what happens? Uh, God says it's time for you to go back into captivity because you're not fully engaged in a relationship with me. And this is really, in a lot of ways, this is one of the saddest books in the Bible because it's a repeating story of sinning and repenting and sinning and repenting and not quite getting back into relation with God in a way that was sustainable. And it was, kind of, there's a one school of thought that called this the book of S's because if you want to summarize it, it's a 300-year history of sinning, sorrow, suffering, and salvation. Yeah, those are big words in the scripture. I mean, those are words that are repeated often, and there are words that have meaning to us. We go through about seven cycles of this in the book of Judges. God sent, uh, I think, about 15 judges in this time period in order to try to help the Hebrew people redeem themselves, get back into relationship with God, and it's just kind of it's just kind of one of those things that is a dark time in the history of God and His people. Um, Yet, the thing we see about this is even when the human heart strays away, God is relentless uh, in His pursuing of bringing people back into His realm, back into His graces, into His relationship with Him, and we see a lot of interesting characters in the Book of Judges. Probably the one that we talk about most, maybe one of the most, is Samson. Now, Samson was one of the judges, a leader. He's a powerful, strong, undefeatable man uh, until he caves into human desire and allows himself to be compromised so that God could not use him in the way that he had been using him. And even though he was probably one of the strongest leaders that we see that he falls to human temptation and has to redeem himself in the end. And at the end, the redemption costs him his life. What, like I say, it's kind of a sad book. It's solemn, it's sad, and it's clearly evidence that uh, evil manifests itself in the lives of people. And if they don't stay on guard and stay in touch with their God, evil will overwhelm them. But it's also the story of when evil tries to overwhelm them, and even when it puts them into this negative place by overwhelming them, God is continually reaching out to call them back home. I can't be so sure that we're not repeating the book of Judges right now, that we aren't in that same process of finding worldly things that take us away, and now as we battle at this point an invisible enemy, are we being called home? Are we being called back into the fold? Are we going to seek redemption in order to be right with God and maybe help with our earthly situations also? Interesting question to ponder. The book of Judges can be a pretty good read. It has a lot of action in it. If you relate all the stories together, you get a picture of this sad book of sinning, but there's still some joy there because of the continual redemption that God brings to His people. All right. I'd suggest you read this because along with Samson, there's Deborah, Barak, other judges who are triumphant and powerful, and especially unlikely heroes like Deborah that really are uplifting in their spirit and their drive to reestablish relationships with God for their people. All right. Well, you take good care of yourself. Watch out for others the best you can. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later. Bye.